We're talking about American economics. We're talking about jobs, inflation. We're talking about housing, rents, real estate, all of that. All of that stuff, you need to be ready for what's about to take place. Prepare. In my opinion, people are just not ready for what's coming. And when I'm saying what's coming to America, I'm talking about in terms of economics, finances, the American economy. I think there's going to be an economic crisis that a lot of people just are not prepared for, just are not ready for. Look, if you think about what the experts are saying about the economy that's going to happen in the next few years, we got some issues, and these issues are not properly being reported about on the news. Like the mainstream media, really the legacy media primarily, that's the NBC and ABC and CBS, they're not reporting the problems, all the issues that are out there. They're just not reporting them the way they should be reporting them, right? There's a lot of things going on. There's some very serious things happening around the world. And in America, on the legacy media, the mainstream media, you're not getting the full gist of what's happening, or gist, whatever you want to call it. You're not getting the full stories being reported to you. They're reporting what they want you to hear. And I know you say, well, America has always been about propaganda. Yes, it's propaganda, but it's even more serious now than it's ever been before. Look, think about the jobs report that just came out. Well, let's go back about a month ago to the jobs report that came out and said, hey, for the year of March or April of 2023 till about the middle of 2024, we told you that there were so many new jobs being created in America. But when you go back and look at that, they came back with the reports that we were 800,000 jobs off. Whoops, we made a mistake. We didn't report on. We told you there were 800,000 more jobs than there were. Like, how do you just miss 800,000 jobs? Now listen, they always come back and make the correction. I know that happens regularly, but listen, not 800,000 jobs worth. That's almost 1 million jobs they told us that was out there that ain't out there.
Hello there. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fine wherever you are today. This is a presenter doing your stories, and there is something important that I feel like we need to discuss about. Now, there's a video that I found on social media, and I think that it is so important that we talk about it. This video warns you, many people are not ready for what's to come. Yes, I know there is so many changes that are yet to happen in the United States. But with the change, that doesn't mean that what's been happening has been something to celebrate, has been something good. And the brother comes out and tries to educate, to warn you. There are a couple of things that at this time when the power structures are changing. Remember, the US is yet to usher in the new president, that's Donald Trump, His Excellency Donald Trump, right? Now, there are a couple of financial changes or economic lines that the US might take. Of course, for the past 10 years, if I'm not wrong, the United States economy has been declining. And what's the legacy media been telling you? I've been telling you is that the economic situation is so stable, yet the country is falling down with a lot of debts. Now, this brother warns and shares this important message. It's called Smart Money Bro. If you have time, go check out his channel. I'll also maybe share the link down in the description. But the most important thing is that I've told you, you can go check him out at your free time. Now, we need to brace ourselves. It's true that we need to brace ourselves. Black people, especially black people in America, and generally any other person from any other race who is sharing what I'm saying, is that you need to brace yourselves. And the hard times might be coming. We might be visioning one of the hardest years in the history of the United States. So the brother wants you to find ways of saving money. And with me, there are a couple of notes that I jotted down, and I wrote through this my notebook because I'm always learning, and I want to share with you as my members a couple of things that I've learned from the brother. Salute to him for sharing this. I want us to watch this video. I'll be back with my commentary.
Think about the recent jobs report. The recent jobs report that just came out last week. They were projecting or predicting 100,000 new jobs. They only came back with 12,000. Like, how do you get it that wrong? That's a big, big, big problem. Now, I've been following the jobs reports pretty closely for the last 2 or 3 years. They don't never come back with these type of discrepancies between what they reported and what actually happened. So those are just 2 quick examples of the fact that, look, there's a lot of things happening with the economy that we're not being privy to, that they're sort of covering up to make it seem like everything is going great. America is growing, and America is not really. The consensus amongst a lot of experts is that there's a lot of economic uncertainty in America. There's going to be in the next few years. And now listen, how severe that is, a lot of different, experts kind of differ in how severe it's going to be. So here's a few things to think about. Think about the high interest rate that that's occurred in America over the last couple of years. When I say high interest rate, I'm talking about like the high interest rates in terms of what we were used to for the previous 10 years, right? So in 2022 or so, when inflation went crazy, we had all of a sudden the Fed came out and started raising interest rates. Well, guess what? For us and for businesses, it means higher borrowing cost. And as you know, guys, our system in America, our economic system, is fueled by the borrowing of money. That's what keeps the machine running. It keeps us cogs in the machine sort of plugged in when we're out spending money. And if money costs more and we're trying to spend more, and we have to pay more for the borrowing cost of to buy cars, the borrowing cost to have mortgages and buy homes, right? The higher cost to have credit card debt. Like, all of that is more challenging for the regular, average, everyday consumer like me and you. It's also more challenging for governments who want to borrow money. They have to borrow money at higher rates. Businesses have to borrow money. Small, medium, large size business, they all have to borrow money at higher rates. So more debt, the cost of even servicing that debt goes up as well. And so there's a lot of issues there. Also, not to mention housing. Think about what's happening to the real estate, or happened to the real estate market here in America, where you've seen the cost of houses go to a level that the average, normal, just starting out, regular American, say couple, can't even afford a house, to buy a house. Now, not to mention just not being able to buy a house, but also not able to even be able to afford rent. Almost rents skyrocketed up. So when rents go up and the high cost of homes go up, look, the demand goes down. And when you see a slowdown or demand go down in terms of housing, right, some areas in America are already seeing sort of like home prices begin to drop because the demand is down. And many areas in America could follow soon because affordability to buy a home and even to rent in many cases is just way out of control. And then, not to mention, you got this global supply issue that really showed its head during the pandemic, which really spawned it on and made it get bigger. But that stuff still is out there. That supply chain issue stuff is still pretty relevant. Now, I know it's sort of calmed down in the years after the pandemic, but you still got the threat of a lot of disruptions with the supply chain of goods across the world because of a lot of the geopolitical stuff you see happening. What's happening between Iran and Israel? What's happening over in Israel right now between Israel and Hamas? What's happening over in the Soviet, over in terms of Russia and Ukraine? What's brewing in terms of China and Taiwan, or South Korea and North? These things are all happening and could all play a role in the supply chain of goods around the world. When you got this high interest rates and you have these geopolitical concerns, there's a lot of issues that could be at the forefront that need to be in the front of the news cycle instead of pushed to the side because we want to make one candidate look bad or we want to make one candidate look better, right? In America, what's going on with our relationship with China, right? All of that stuff affects our food supply. It affects our technology and technology supply. It ultimately could trickle down and have an impact on the stock market and businesses, local businesses, etc. So There's a lot going on that the media is not really making everybody privy to. It's sort of, you got to be careful when you have a media that is biased, so biased that the propaganda they put before you is not correct, it's untrue. You know, there's a lot of talk about how wonderful, how good, not saying wonderful, but how good the American economy is, the GDP numbers, the inflation is going down, the job market is still relatively low, right? These are all buzzwords to keep the American consumer pacified. These are buzzwords to keep it feeling like and looking like everything is wonderful in terms of our economy. But listen, folks, you need to understand that there's a lot of propaganda that you're being fed. There's a lot of propaganda that you are being told that ain't all the way. Look at jobs, for example. I mean, think about the people that you know who have been laid off a job in the last 2 years, right? For a lot of people, drop me a comment below if you know somebody that's been laid off from a job in the last couple of years. But all of a sudden we're hearing, last year we heard, well, the unemployment rate is only 3.4%, 3.5%. Now it's up to 4.1%. And I would venture to say that in a year or two, it might be at 5 or 6%. But what I'm saying is that we've been told how wonderful the job market is and how strong and how resilient, right? Again, buzzwords. But look, we all know people that have been laid off from a job. Why is that? If the economy is so wonderful and the job market is so strong, how is it we know people that are being laid off from jobs on a regular basis? Maybe it's because of those jobs reports that I talked about earlier. It's a lot of false stuff that's being put in front of you by the legacy media or the mainstream media to make it feel, because a lot of what drives the American economy is consumer sentiment. If we start feeling like the economy is horrible or messed up, if we feel like that for too long, we're going to stop spending money and we're going to start saving or holding on to our money. We're not going to be out there actually purchasing things and driving up demand. We won't do that. We are the cog in the machine that keeps the machine running. So if you can keep the American people pacified, or if you can keep the American people feeling good about the economy, they've won half the battle right there. Just how we feel and how we think. And a lot of it is pushed up on us by the propaganda in the legacy media that makes us feel like everything is okay. But when we go to look at our pocketbook, it ain't okay. When we go to buy bread or a basket of food, it's not okay, right? Last year, just a year ago, we could get a whole lot last year for $100 at the grocery store. Today, we get a whole lot less. But at the same time, they're telling us that everything is wonderful. And the American economy is strong and it's resilient. And the American economy is still growing because the GDP, listen, you got to be thinking and looking at this stuff with a third eye. You got to be thinking with a very critical mindset and understanding the source by which you're getting the information. Because 9 times out of 10, most of the media that most people are consuming is media that is heavily biased to make you believe one thing when there's something totally different happening. Look, nobody's telling you that the rise of automation is going to have an effect ultimately down the road on jobs in America. Nobody's telling you that. Nobody is telling you that immigration is going to have an effect on certain areas and pockets of how we live our economic life because of all of the immigration. Of course, they're saying, oh, immigration is no problem. And I have no problem with legal immigration, right? But the illegal immigration is something that they ain't covering like they should be covering in the media. And they're not covering it, again, just like the economy, to make it look a certain way and make everybody feel a certain way, because maybe there's a certain presidential candidate that they're trying to protect. Maybe there's a presidential candidate that they want to make sure loses and wins. Listen, it's propaganda. The question is, are you ready for what's coming economically, right? Are you ready for what is going to take place? And when I say going to take place, here's why I'm saying it. The reason I say that is because we've been going pretty strong in this economy for a pretty long time in America. I mean, we haven't seen major recession. We haven't seen incredibly high unemployment rates. We haven't seen incredibly high Fed funds rates, right? Interest rates. We haven't seen them real high like we did in the 80s, 10, 12, 15% for a mortgage. We haven't seen that in a while, right? We've been spoiled. But if you get spoiled for too long and everything is great for too long, at some point It won't be. And my call to you guys is to say, listen, be ready. Be understanding that what you're seeing is propaganda. Typically, when you watch the legacy media, the news, there's a shift that's taken place. When everything is going good, there's a shift that's taken place that you need to be aware of. We're talking global dynamics. We're talking global economics. We're talking about American economics. We're talking about jobs, inflation. We're talking about housing, rents, real estate, all of that. All of that stuff that feels good, looks good, sounds good right now. You need to be ready for what's about to take place. Prepare. How do you prepare? Have an emergency fund. How do you prepare? Make sure you get rid of all this bad debt. How do you prepare? Make sure that you have a handle on your finances. You are organized with your finances. You're not buying a bunch of frivolous things that don't matter. You're storing up and getting ready for the things that will matter or may matter. That you're taking the precautions to make sure that you have a good, solid handle on your personal finances so that if something major happens, you're ready for it, right? You have a diverse set of investments. You're not all your money's not wrapped into just Nvidia, or all your money's not wrapped up into Bitcoin, right? You have diversification when it comes to the types of things that you're invested in, whether it's bonds, stocks, real estate, whatever it could be, gold, precious metals, whatever. You are diversified, right? The general takeaway is this, guys. We're not in a crisis right now in America economically, but we may be soon. It could be coming right down the pipe and nobody's really talking about it because they want to make sure that you feel good as a consumer. So what you consume and see, and they're telling you about, be leery, right? Understand that it's not all that it's cracked up to be. There's some issues that they ain't telling you about, and you better be ready. The economic landscape looks good, feels good, but it ain't all that great. There's some volatility in places where they ain't telling you volatility's at. Look, in my opinion, people are not ready for what's coming. In terms of economics to America, we just aren't ready for what's about to happen. And there's a reason that you're left out in the cold. There's a reason why they had to correct these job numbers by almost 1 million. There's a reason why we missed last week's job count by 90,000 jobs. Thinking there were going to be 100,000 new jobs created, non-farm jobs, only 12,000, right? There's a reason those discrepancies happen. You need to be paying attention. Hey, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Till the next video, peace.
Hello there again. I hope that you're fine wherever you are. Now, a couple of things have been said that I believe that it's important. If you're a listener, if you're a person who really listens, the brother has highlighted important things. Now, we still don't know the fate of people in the United States. However, there are speculations that there is yet to be good economic changes. Some people still speculate that it's yet to become worse. Now, people are stuck in the middle. Whether their prediction about the new elected president, things will change, or things will just remain the way they were, right? Now, there is a breakdown that the brother gives that I'm yet to go through my notebook while I was listening him for what he's saying. Actually, is I think he deals with some financial advice in his channel, and these are the things that he shares that we have also watched with you. And there are a couple of things that I want to reflect, especially to my community. Remember, I share these videos with my community. You, the person watching me, you, the black person watching me, you are my community. And I value so much so that we can get to be on the same page, learn, get to know new trends and everything. Because we are being told to brace ourselves for what is coming. And it's true. There is so much uncertainty that is happening today in the United States, right? And I've told you that there are a couple of changes that are yet to happen. For instance, if you have an immigrant friend, you have to see whether they came to the United States legally or illegally, or else they might find themselves kicked out. There are a couple of things that the brother shares that I want us to jump right into them, that I want us to talk about them. They are really, really important. And he breaks them down very well. And it's also important to anybody who is wondering now, what's the economic fate of what I'm supposed to be doing today, right? So I'm here to discuss with you the following. Now, there are a couple of things that he addresses that I want to talk about. The first one is lie that the economy is good. Yes, you're being lied to that the economy is good, and the media is trying to push that for the past 10 years that the US economy has been doing so much well, right? Without even thinking that, are we doing well? The country is in trillions of debt, right? You might be asking yourself that question. Now, this is so important because there is an illusion. How many people have been rendered jobless? The cost of living has been high. And I think you've seen people coming out talking about this. People cannot even afford to save. Like, you can go check it out. So many people don't have the money to save because they're living paycheck to paycheck. They have bills to pay. A lot of things are yet to happen, right? And when this change is going to happen, we don't know. Like, we just anticipate that things will be well with the new elected president. We're just trying to anticipate if things will be well. We don't know for sure if things will be well. Now, another problem that he highlights is immigration, right? But this can be said, but not again certainly, because the new elected president is saying that the immigrants who came to the United States illegally will be deported back home. They get ready to go back home. Illegal immigrants who came to the United States illegally, right? So these are a couple of things that making life of people in the United States so hard, right? Because of these illegal immigrants. Job market, people are being, rendered jobless. Immigrants are coming, working because they can take low paying jobs. According to them, this is so much, right? The third thing that he talks about is consumerism nature of people in the United States. People will use money that they don't have to buy what they don't need, right? And popular people like George Carlin has talked about this as one of the problems that is facing people from the United States. People have the consumerism culture. We got new Jordans. You gotta buy them. You want to buy different brands. Of course, it's your money. There's no problem. But do you really need it? Do you really need it? Is there any other priority that you have? Are you seeing life in 10 years' time? Will you want to buy some house somewhere? Or maybe do you want to sell some acres of land to maybe just do something with it? You making money right now. What are you doing for your next coming 10 years or 20 years to come, right? Because you're not remaining younger every day. These are things that you need to start thinking about. These are things that if you're a person who is capable and you working, you making your life together, these are things that you still need to start thinking about because they are important to you, right? So the consumerism nature of the people of the United States, and that's how this is a fallacy that the United States have been selling to its people to keep you buying, to keep you consuming, because they keep on bringing these new things that will make you confused, that will make you keep buying what you're being offered to. So the system makes you to still keep thinking of how you can acquire than producing. You need to be a producer. We need to see a society where we are seeing a lot of production than consumption, right? So you find yourself using your resources in buying what you don't need. I've talked about media lie, and this has been rampant, especially for the past 2 months when the election campaigns were going on, where people are endorsing the media channels being biased. And this is something that has been happening for the longest time. The question of media standing for true reality, or giving true news, or passing propaganda, you know. And these are tools that politicians have used for the longest time to make you confused. That's number one. To make you divided. And trust me, there is yet a lot of propaganda to come. There is yet information that it's going to come out that are going to be shared with people, that just people need to brace themselves. I'm also going to be reflecting on what you talked about unemployment rates as also an issue. Yes, people have been left jobless for the past 6 years, for the past 5 years. And the number of people who are jobless, not working, people being evacuated from their houses has been increasing tremendously for the past 6 years. This is according to the statistics in the United States. So there is a lot to talk about. There is a lot to look into. There is so much uncertainty. Geopolitical issues which are happening, right? Like the Iran issues, Ukraine, Russia, China, all these things that are happening today. How are they going to affect you as a person, like economically? These are things that the brother is trying to reflect, is trying to talk about them. That I see to it that it's important for us to look at this, right? And you know, the geopolitical landscapes of things affects the economy. Whether you're a person in the stock market, whether you have Bitcoin, whether you have shares and everything, you need to have diversification. These are one of the solutions that he offers. You know, you need to diversify your sources of income. Don't just have one source of income. What if tomorrow something happens, right? What if tomorrow you're rendered jobless, right? So you need to ask yourself these questions. You need to diversify where your source of income comes from. And this is important message, not only to you, but also to me, the person who also watched this video. And I feel like you really shared a lot. You really shared a lot that we need to think about and find a way, because we are not certain how things will turn for the next 4 years coming. Some people are just happy that we've ushered a new president and everything is cool, but just think about it. He also advises us to have emergency fund, which is so important to avoid going out of the plan or the money that you saved for other things that are equally important, maybe your projects or the things that you're trying to do. He also talks about learning how to manage a bad debt. It's true. One of the things that are putting people down is not managing their debts. Having bad debt can be a detrimental, for example, for growth and development. Avoid consumerism. Only have what you want and find ways of increasing your income. That's what I've learned from the entire video. Really feel free to tell me what you think about this video. These are presented Gentech Stories, and I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.